what the effect was on their cholesterol level or weight or glucose levels. And most of the studies were done in Muslim countries because they try to do these studies, but generally their quality is very low. Two studies from USA and one from Germany. Very small studies mostly, and they're only 2 weeks to 4 weeks in duration. So what did I find actually when I put all the studies together? So what I found was the honey, if you take honey compared to sugar, if you have high glucose levels, it will start to go down. So actually honey might be good for diabetic patients. More studies need to be done, but that is a possibility. Also, there are only 4 studies which looked at weight, and the overall evidence says that honey might reduce weight compared to other sugars. But it is driven by only one study, and which is quite questionable quality. So I wouldn't say too much, but I would say more studies need to be done. But it is possible that honey does not increase weight compared to other sugars. Honey actually shows to reduce cholesterol, total cholesterol. And if you rank them according to how long the studies are, so they're like 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, and the last study is 12 weeks. 12 weeks means it's 3 months long. The longer the study, the more honey they take, the lower their weight, the lower their cholesterol levels. So there appears to be a trend. The more you need time for the honey to act. And same thing with LDL cholesterol, which is the bad cholesterol, goes down. HDL cholesterol, which is the good cholesterol, goes up. Triglyceride, which are bad for you, bad for your heart, actually go down. And when I looked at the length of the study and their effects, there is a very positive relationship. The longer the study, the more positive the effect. But most studies are very small size, 2 weeks to 4 weeks, and you don't see much in that duration. So the limitations are that these very small number of studies, only 8 studies, very low quality, mostly done in Muslim countries. The short duration, and honey type is not specified. So if I want to replicate the study, I don't know which honey they used. So which honey should I use? I don't know. Okay, so it's difficult to know how to replicate the study if you don't know the honey type. So my conclusion was that these 8, in this meta-analysis of 8 randomized controlled trials, shows some evidence that honey intake is associated with improvement in weight, total cholesterol, triglyceride, and serum glucose. The effect appears to be in studies with long-term intake of honey, more than 4 weeks, where you start seeing an effect at higher doses, means 50 to 80 grams a day, which means around 3 tablespoons of honey per day. 3 tablespoons. So 1 tablespoon contains around 20 grams of honey, so around 3 tablespoons. And the confidence in the results is very low. So more studies need to be done, and if further studies are done, we will get a more precise measurement. Why the honey might have this effect compared to sugar? It might be because of the fructose, which is more than glucose. I have 1 minute left. Okay, I'm just finishing a few more slides. It can affect the microbiome. So there's some studies which show in animals that honey affects your microbiome or your gut bacteria. So they might actually modulate the food you eat. Honey has polyphenols, phytochemicals, which are antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. These are plant compounds which affect your body. And there are minerals and vitamins in honey, but they're very small quantity. So we're not sure how the honey might have that effect. The implications are that we need larger studies. That's it. And for larger study, you need millions of dollars. So we are stuck. So we need prayers. So one final point. So Hazrat Muslim Maud Razillah Anhu said that different types of honey are cures for different diseases. This is why the Holy Quran does not say that only honey is a cure, but it says in that is a sign for people who reflect. Meaning we have given the clue, and now it is your task to undertake the research. If you ponder over it, you will find that different colored honeys are cure for different diseases. And these are different colored honeys, and the next step is to look at these different honeys and see, okay, which honey is good for diabetes, which honey is good for heart disease, which honey is good for Alzheimer's, which honey is good for your joints or bones. But for that, we need to do research, and we need people to do research. And Hazrat Khalifatul Nasir Rabi Rahimahullah Ta'ala says, Ahmadis should undertake research on honey because it is one of their religious duties. Jazakallah.
Let me also tell everyone that the slides for each of the speakers will be made available online at www.muslimscientists.org, one word and in the plural, as well as the videos of their talks, which I think will be really exciting. I would, at this point, like to ask the speakers to come up to the front, and we're going to set up additional chairs for the panel discussion. In fact, I'll help with that part as well. Podium. Is that okay? Exactly. And Dr. Oh, is that right? Okay. And I see our engineer has asked us to move it to the other side. Say it again.
So we have to run after the chairs?
So we'll have about a 10-minute panel discussion, and anyone from the audience who wants to have any questions, you are free to come and ask questions. And if you also need to take a little break, please, you're welcome to leave and go to the bathroom if you need to or something.
And just to also state, if you have a question, please, if you can come up to the microphone. I believe that it's on. If you can just tap it. If it isn't on, you may have to press the back. The ladies are also welcome to ask any questions. In fact, the saying of the Holy Prophet ﷺ is ladies first. And so if there is a lady in the audience who would like to ask a question, we'd like to give for the first chance. And if you are asking a question, please just tell us who you are and where you're from.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
Jazakallah for giving us this opportunity for asking some questions of the panel. If I might be permitted to go first, I have probably a brief question for the last speaker. This is Saliha Malik, and I'm from Boston. And I've been very interested in the honeybee. And I've noted some people who keep the honeybees, and I've learned from them that in the winter, or at certain times in keeping of them, they have to feed them sugary syrup in order to help them, manage the winter months. But then surely this sugary syrup actually enters into the final product of the honey. And therefore, I'm wondering if the honey is actually being corrupted by this kind of keeping. And would you be so kind to explain it? Because the sugar is not the sugar is a negative food product, whereas the honey is a positive one. So I'm wondering if the honey is being destroyed by this use of sugar in keeping the bees.
Jazakallah for the question. I think it's an excellent question, and many people have asked this before also. So the unique thing about honeybee is that it makes most things I mentioned, like propolis, wax, pollen. They make in limited quantities. But bees make honey in unlimited quantities. The more they make more than they need. And why do they need honey? So that's actually important to explain the answer. Is bees do not fly out in the winter, so they are cold-blooded. So if they fly out, they'll die. They'll just fall down and die. So they can only fly in above 15 degrees temperature. So in the winter, they actually stay inside throughout the winter, and they need food stores, and honey is their food store. So they use honey and survive, and then when the weather gets better in spring, they come out. Now, ideally the honey, they actually make more honey than we require. What the beekeepers do is when they are preparing their winter stores, the beekeepers right before winter actually takes all the honey from the bee, from the hive, and only leave sugar for them to survive the whole winter. And it has been shown in the latest research that sugar actually wreaks havoc with their immune system, and they become diseased easily. Ideally, that honey should be kept with them, and then in the spring, when some honey is left, that should be taken and used by us. So bees make honey not for us, for them first, and then they make some extra so we can use it. So we shouldn't use that anyways. Now the second thing, will that sugar that is given during the winter, will that become honey? That is not allowed according to the law. So that when the spring starts and when they go out, then the bees start collecting honey for which they can then sell. So any honey that they make using the sugary syrup is not allowed to be sold. And it wouldn't have that aroma, the special aroma you get anyways. So it is unlikely that the beekeeper will sell that. So most honey that you find in the shelf is generally okay. It's from the flowers.
Jazakallah, that's very helpful.
I have a question from Tawseef Sahib as well. My name is Amjad Qureshi. I'm with the Laurel Jamaat. And the question is a two-part question on types of honey. You mentioned types of honey many times, and I would like some clarity on what do you mean by types of honey. And the second part is what type of honey we should buy as consumers, because I would understand that sometimes honey is pasteurized, perhaps, and our preservatives are added. So as consumers, what type of honey we should look for when we go to buy?
Tasif Sahib, think of yourself as being on Jay Leno. You only have a short time to answer each of these questions.
So short answer. So honey, the type of honey depends upon which flower the honey comes from mainly. So if it comes from thyme, it will be thyme honey. Mainly comes from manuka honey. You have buckwheat honey. There's acacia honey. So these are different kinds of honeys. Usually, many honey producers mix those honeys, and then you get a mixed honey. But if you look closely, you will find some of these honeys which are usually majority from one flower. So that's how the different honey, and they will have different aroma, different color, and different taste. Which honey should we buy? I don't know. That research hasn't been done, but whatever honey looks tasty to you, buy that honey. I can't recommend any honey for any disease at the moment because the research hasn't been done yet. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. Next, we'll have one question from the ladies' side. If they have any more, they could ask now.
There's one more. Just.
Assalamu alaikum. I wanted to ask the gentleman who did research on solar energy if there was any specific brand or something of the solar panels that we should use in our homes, because I did some research, and it seems that since most of it is converting into a specific type of current, and then it is less efficient for us to use. So which one is more efficient and useful for us?
Assalamu alaikum. I don't think I'm in a position to recommend a particular type of panels or panel manufacturer. I think you will have to do that research yourself. I cannot recommend my company because they don't produce anything for now. They do research only. It's on a lighter side. But I think that governments give special incentives to buy these things, and that's what has made the cost of electricity through solar become more competitive. So we still have a long way to go to make it such that it becomes more efficient and therefore more cost effective out there. So now if you can buy from China, probably they will be the cheapest. If you buy from the American companies, probably be more expensive. But I don't know about the, the longevity and the warranties and the company going belly up. There are many things. I don't think I'm in a position to give any recommendation at this stage. I'm sorry about that.
We have time for very brief questions and answers. I'd like to allow our two questioners that are standing, and if on the ladies there's maybe one other, we'd certainly entertain it. Let's hear from our next questioner.
Assalamu alaikum, Habib Mirza from Potomac. My question is from Dr. Hamid Naseem Saab. You mentioned about the photovoltaic cells. Is it only through visible spectrum that you use, or are there cells that can use some ultraviolet or other frequencies as well? And then I have another question for Gentleman, if you allow.
Okay, to answer that, the solar spectrum has its maximum at around 600 nanometer, which is near green or yellow light. So it is where the most energy is coming, that's where you want to harvest it. If you harvest only the ultraviolet part of the spectrum, a lot of ultraviolet gets, absorbed in the atmosphere, and it doesn't get to you, and also the content is less. So you want to increase the amount. You want to start from ultraviolet, go all the way to infrared. But there are ways by which you can increase multicolor solar cells, but then they are more expensive. So that's one of the solar cells that I had shown that we have invented something new there that would help. But it's still a long way to go, and that's the good news, because a lot of Ahmadis can get into that area. Jazakumullah. Was it a short answer?
You're getting better.
My second question is with the gentleman who presented the research on honey, Tausif Saab, Jazakumullah. So the question basically is that you mentioned about the types of honey, but are there any types of honey bees as well?
Jazakallah. There are 8 types of true honeybees in the world. The majority of honey, or 90%, is made by the Apis mellifera, which is called the European honeybee. It actually comes from Africa, but the Europeans actually took it around the world, so it's called European honeybee. There are some other bees in regional areas. Like, for example, there's a big badi makhi, or Apis dorsata, that's in India, Pakistan, and Nepal. Then there is one in Indonesia, Malaysia. There's a small honeybee. So there are 8 honeybees, but only one is the one that actually makes the commercial honey, because it can survive in most climate conditions.
And again, time is short, but if there is a question, a short question from the ladies' side, we can entertain that, and then we'll have our last question from the men's side.
Assalamu alaikum. There are no further questions at the moment, but I just have to extend my deep appreciation to the speaker on environment. I'm so appreciative, because I do feel that this is a subject that Ahmadis in particular need to be aware of, and the whole world, in fact. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah, Sadr Sahiba.
Assalamu alaikum, Javed Chaudhry, Potomac, Maryland. My question is to all scientists. Do you reference the Quranic verses in your papers, or you share with your colleagues? And if you do, what response do you get?
Well, I'm going to try to give a brief answer, because I've held myself up to that standard. I think the short is that science, is without any boundaries, and we have to look at objectivity on a professional basis. The treasure for us is the Holy Quran, and we have to use it to prove the guidance that we're deriving from it. And so on a personal basis, I don't refer to the Holy Quran in scientific papers, but when in conversations, especially among colleagues, I will tell them that a certain idea that received a multi-million-dollar grant, for example, was derived based on this understanding of the Holy Quran. And many of them are quite impressed to see that there's that consonance between science and religion.
Exactly.
So Jazakallah, I think I speak for everyone in saying that this was really an exciting session. This is 1 out of 4, so we've got 3 more excitements to go. One session that I didn't mention, which is parallel to the Science Kitchen in session 3. So remember, we're finishing session 1. Session 2 is for the men's active and the scientists in action. Session 3, and then we have namaz and lunch, and it's all in your folder as a handout. And then session 3, after lunch, which we'd like to start, on time, is for the kids, for the youth. It's a hands-on science kitchen, and for everyone else who would like to be part of it, would like you to be part of it if you would like to. It's a general body meeting in which we will go over the objectives of the organization, and it's really just a very brief meeting as well as amendments and understanding of the Constitution. I would also like to ask everyone to please register. And if you don't have a name badge, then it's likely that you did not register. If you lost your name badge, we can get you another one, but please register, and please write your name legibly on the registration form. I apologize that we don't have an online system on site right now. I'd like to ask our Nazim Allah Sahib, Adil Malik Sahib, to just end with an announcement. And can you also tell us what our next steps are?
Assalamu alaikum. So right now we're going to adjourn just for a brief, 5 minutes-ish, 5 to 10 minutes. So there are still refreshments downstairs. There's some fruit and bagels left over from breakfast. I encourage everyone to try to finish that. There's tea and coffee downstairs as well, and I believe the same is available on the women's side. So that's coming up next. And so what time should everyone be back by?
I think if it's not asking too much, and Naib Amir Sahib, you can tell us whether this is reasonable. Maybe in exactly 10 minutes from now, we can reconvene right here for the men's, and then of course the ladies have their own session. So,
great. So I have 11:41. So if we can all be back by 11:51, and I have a very quick announcement in regards to anyone who has a science fair poster downstairs. I see that there are a couple. I wanted to give anyone who's not aware a heads up that at the end of session 2, we're going to ask anyone who has a presentation to come up and give a quick 2 to 3 minute pitch on why their poster is worth going and exploring in more detail. And during lunchtime, you can stand by your poster and answer any further questions. So prepare for a 2 to 3 minute pitch on your work.
Okay, Jazakallah, the session is over.
Oh, something like that. Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah.
Oh man, what's going on? Good.
Start yet? Master?
Master?
Oh, yeah?
How's it going with you? Good, how are you? Did you get my speech yesterday?
Yes, I did. Sorry. Oh, no. Okay, no, it's fine.
How's this working out? How's that working out? No one's really. No, this is better. Yeah, no,
This time, this is good.
huh? But they're not being.
No, they can hear. They have been.
Oh yeah.
Some of them, the talks have just been long. Like, I think they've gone over a minute mostly. A minute, no more than that, which is okay. We have buffer time in case, in the event that people can't do that.
How's everything else? How's life?
Alhamdulillah, everything's
How's
good.
Boston?
Pittsburgh is good. Yeah.
Where's still your guy?
Yeah, he's still there.
He's good.
Yeah, he's good. I barely see him, but he's all right. He's good. I like him.
He's active in the admin group. And not that active.
Oh yeah,
He's here and there.
yeah. You're on that too?
Yeah.
Are you guy? The knife guy?
Knife guy.
Knife guy? Yeah. That's good. South VA. That's a pretty big one.
Huh?
Pretty big masjid. Pretty big Qudam.
100 plus.
Is Ibrahim the guy?
No,
He's central.
He's central.
Okay.
Don't get us confused there.
Why? Because they got Al-Manami, you guys didn't?
No, we came in third.
Yeah, you guys. That's good.
No, we're very prideful of our
Acha.
districts, okay? North, south, central.
Don't get it wrong.
Don't get them mixed up. Fight.
Oh man.
said, I don't see even the other members. Oh, total. Yeah, the overall is overall is low. Overall is low. Just I mean, excluding silver spring, so yeah, Laurel, Potomac, Virginia, it's all of. And is this? Do you know if this is a eastern region or is it for the whole USA? Do you know? It's very interesting, and especially for young people, high schoolers and children. Yeah, it is. It is. Okay, so Zakula, and I will send this email out. I will say 10 o'clock, and then please respond. Right. So we'll have time. Is it possible to get a schedule and then have it available in the week? Sure. That's good. Zakula? Sure. I will see you in some.
Assalamu alaikum. We are already 4 minutes over time, so please finish up your snack and tea within the next 2 to 3 minutes and proceed back upstairs. Jazakallah.